Hey everybody, this is Kevin from the CryptoFred76 Network, and I'm back again with another customizing project for everybody. I've gotten a lot of questions in the past about things like these Riddler goons. How did you make those guys? How did you change the heads out? It's not that hard. There is a bit of a trick to it, but once you figure it out, it's really not that hard. So I'm going to show everybody today how I swap the heads on Imaginext figures. And we're going to do it with these guys. See, I got my little police force here. The two guys on the ends are different, but the two in the middle are exactly the same. Now we can keep the same uniform and just change the head, and that would make for a whole new person. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this guy, get you out of the way, and in keeping with the sunglasses thing we got going on with our police force, we're going to put this guy's head on him. And here we go. What we're going to need to complete this project is our trusty bowl of boiling water. That's not boiling yet, but it will be in a few minutes. We're going to need the tongs like we did last time, a pair of scissors, and this hobby knife. You can use really any hobby knife, but I like to use these X-Acto knives because they can get really into the really small places and they're very sharp. They're great. I got that one at Target. I'm sure you can get it at just about anywhere. Okay, let's get some water boiling and get this show started. Okay, everybody, I'm back. And as you can see, the water is now boiling hot. Now, again, kids, this is not a project that little kids are going to take on. You know, you can't be using the stove. Parents, this is a grown-up project, so adults out there watching, if you remember from the Thor video, in which we removed the hands from the figure, swapped them out with a different figure, we're going to do the same boil and pop method, except that this time, instead of using the hands, we're going to be, you guessed it, the head. Now, I use the tongs to put the figure in the hot water. The hot water, what it does is soften up all the plastic parts enough that you can pull them apart with relative ease. It takes about 20 seconds. You're going to put them in there and just let them soak in that hot water for about 20 seconds. I use the tongs because what you don't want to do is put the whole figure in the hot boiling water. It'll soften up the plastic all around everything, and you don't want that. It'll bend parts of the plastic. It can loosen up joints and stuff. So you really only want to get the part, or as little of the figure as possible in there, as long as you're covering the part that we're doing. So we got the head going on here today. A couple more seconds. I'm going to pull them out and see if I can pull this thing off. It's a little harder than pulling the hands off, but not by a whole lot. I want to get it good and hot. Make sure it's ready to come out. Let's see how we did here. You can already feel it's softer. Just grab the two pieces and the head pops right off. There we go. And here's the head. Alright, now, because we're swapping heads out, we also have to do the other figure. So I'm going to take my buddy here and right back in the hot water. If you remember from the Thor video, the hands popped off pretty easily. And then we used the boiling method to get them back on. We're going to do something different this time because the heads, the way that they're configured on these figures, they don't really lend themselves to popping back in and out of these pieces the way that the hands did. But don't worry, I have a solution for that too. We just got to get this guy's head off. So, a few more seconds. How about now? Yeah, feels softer already. And pops off. So we got the head and the body. And on to the next part. Alright, so now we've got two bodies, two headless bodies and two bodiless heads laying on our counter here. Now, like I said, the boil and pop method doesn't work that good because of the shape of the bottom of this neck. The part that holds it in, you see it's round, but it's pretty thick on the bottom, and it doesn't snap back into the body the way the hands, you can just push them in. So we got to do some modifying. And here's how we're actually going to use this guy's head. It's going to go on this guy's body. They're all the same size, these heads, and the neck's inside. For the most part, I think there's only one figure. I think it was the old Two-Face figure that had a different style of neck, or maybe it was Green Lantern, or maybe both. But for the most part, the standard figure with the standard head, and they look like this, and they're all about the same size. So, what we're going to do, take the head you want to modify. Now you want to cut some of this bottom part off. I'm going to cut right across here, front to back, so it's just even with the inner neck stem part. Okay? I don't know if you can you see how that's different now? I cut that part off. I'm going to do the same on the other side and just snip it right off. Okay? See if we can focus a little bit. This guy's, his neck stem now is not round like the other one was. And I could have done a little better job going front to back. It's a little off kilter there. I mean, in a perfect world, we get this exactly lined up from the chin to the back of the neck here in a nice straight line. But that's okay. It's not going to ruin the project. The next thing we're going to do, because we went front to back on this, when you get your figure, we got to modify the inside of this thing here too. So we're going to go shoulder to shoulder this time, across this way. I'm going to take my knife, and if you have a sharp enough knife, it's going to dig right in there and just carve away what you don't need. Of course, we're using a knife here, kids. Again, you're not supposed to be boiling water. You shouldn't be playing with knives. This is an adult type project, but it's very simple. The reason I do it this way, instead of just like cutting the thing off, cutting the neck stem off and gluing the head back on, which you could do and works just fine, but this way you still have the rotation of the head. You don't lose that bit of articulation. You can look around still without worrying about the thing coming off. Well, I guess if you glued it on, I wouldn't be able to move at all. But it won't come off this way now. How well can you see that? It looks kind of like a keyhole now, with the bottom part here cut out. We're going to do the same on the other shoulder on this side. Push the knife in. You want to get it all the way to the edge of the molded part of the figure. Just cut it away carefully, 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 and come on, cut it away. There it is. Get all the excess out. You don't want any bits getting in your way in there. And now you can see the hole has a divot cut on the top and on the bottom. And you may have guessed already what we're going to do. Put this head in here sideways. Now, and we're going to need a little more. Which way can we fit it in here? Going to need a little more on both sides, actually. That's okay. Better to go too small than too big. You can always cut a little more off. But you can't put any back on if you make it too big the first go around. So we're going to make it a little bigger. Gets easier once you got that hole in there. Try again to fit this thing in here, and yeah, just about made it. Popped right in there, and boom, that's all there is to it. This guy with a brand new head. He can look left, he can look right. He's ready to go. He's wearing his sunglasses just like his buddies here. 1, 2, and the chief. You know he's the chief because he's got that killer mustache. I mean, the chief always has the best mustache. Alright, just as a little addendum here, I wanted to show you how to swap the heads from a Play School figure. I got Play School Hulk here. I don't really have a project going on that I need him to be a part of, but I thought it'd be good just to show you how it works. It's a lot easier than the Imaginext figures to do with the Play School figures. I'm going to dunk Hulk's head into the water, just like we did before, and wait about 20 seconds while the hot water gets in there, softens everything up for us. Waiting for the hot water to soften up the plastic. These heads work different. The neck is attached to the body rather than to the head, and they pop on and off just the way the hands did. for the other figures. For the, like we did in the Thor video. Again, refer back to the hands on the Thor video, but not that big a deal. Let's see if we can get it off. Hulk. Headless Hulk. Alright, you see we got Hulk here with no head, because we just popped the head off a second ago. I'm going to take a little close-up look here. This neck stem pops up on these Play School figures, and if you look at the bottom, there's a hole in the bottom of the head, and they just fit together that way, the same way the hands do. You don't really have to modify anything. You just got to heat it up, pop it off, and when you're going to put it back on, you just heat the head up and leave the body hard, leave the plastic hard, so it gets soft in here and it stretches around this other harder piece and it pops right back on. I don't think, yeah, it's cooled off already enough that you can't do it. Not hard at all. To put an Imaginext head on a Play School body, or a Play School head on an Imaginext body, I've done that a couple times. It's a lot more involved. I'll devote a whole video to that sometime down the road. But I just wanted you to see how easy it is to do with the Play School figures. Pop it off, and it pops right back on. You can switch heads, different figures. Here's one I did a while ago. Peter Parker, Spider-Man. This was a, I think it's a Han Solo head that I put on a Spider-Man body. So it looks like an unmasked Peter Parker. And it pops right on. They're all interchangeable. They all have the same size heads and necks. So, easy to do. Thought you might like to see that before we wrap things up here. Like I said, to put a Play School head on an Imaginext body, much bigger project. We'll talk about that down the road sometime. That's it, guys. That's how you do it. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. I'm also going to put a link to the Thor video I mentioned earlier down below in the comments. If you haven't seen that yet, you want to check that out. It's another very simple project. These are the kind of things, no painting, none of that kind of stuff required. You know, just a little bit of cutting and boiling water and a steady hand is all you need. And it's a lot of bang for your buck. In my opinion, I like doing these projects because, you know, a simple modification like this makes a big difference. Now you have a completely different figure to run around and fight crime and chase the bad guys with. Alright, hope you enjoyed. Rate, comment, subscribe, share away. And have a good one, guys. I'll see you soon.